It's all good. Do whatever you need to. We good?
Yeah.
All right. We should be live as well. All right. There we go. Oh, what? There we go. Hello, Elisha. How's it going? Welcome to the live stream. I'm gonna be up top here pretty soon. All right. Hopefully.
Gotta remember to turn it back on. Hello, family. My name's Phineapoo, and welcome to the Hidden Picasso. First off, how is everyone's day going? I gotta hear you. How's your day going? Woo! Oh, come on, you can do so much better. Who likes Minecraft? Who over in VR likes Minecraft? Even they're louder than you guys. Who here likes Minecraft, the game? Okay, that's better, I can appreciate that. But who here likes Minecraft, the art form? Wow, okay, that's actually a little bit louder than I thought. I know some of you are probably thinking, Minecraft, the art form. What? But it's true, Minecraft is an art form, and I can prove it to you here. As a matter of fact, there are 5 stages of development in kids' art. You can actually look these up online. At Illinois State University, there's actually this study that they did about how kids develop in their life their art style. In this particular one, we've got the scribble stage to start out with, and that's typically about 2 to 4 years. Now, when you look at these in the years on there, that's just a flexible arrangement. Obviously, kids grow at different rates, but it's typically in the 2 to 4 year range. And usually it starts out with the random scribbling. There's, they just grab a crayon and go to town on a piece of paper. Next, there's the controlled scribbling, where they actually have a little bit more motor control, but it's still obviously just a scribble. And then the naming of the scribbling. That's mama. That's a pony. That happens. That's how it starts. But then they move on to the next stage, the pre-schematic stage. And that's typically between the years of 3 to 7 years old. That's when the first symbols are starting to be used. So, like a circle representing the sun, or a loose circle, we'll put it that way, or a big yellow blob to represent the sun, or something along those lines. But they haven't developed a true schema yet, which is the repeated symbols. So they might not use that yellow circle for long, they might use a Minecraft sun, make it a square instead. But that's what they're at least going that direction. Next up is the pre-schematic stage, ages 6 to 11 years old. During that time, that's when you start noticing those repeated symbols, and they develop the schema, where you'll have those lollipop trees, the ones with the line and then the big circle around it. I know I still use those personally, but I still use those. And the stick figures, that's a really good example of a schema. You gotta remember, I gotta keep this close. And then they start using different views for the same picture. For instance, you might have the top view of a swimming pool, but you might have the side view of a house. That's just an example of what I mean by different views for the same picture. Finally, the last 2 stages, you've got the transitional stage, which applies to ages usually 9 and older. And they attempt to produce adult quality work. You might start noticing people who are drawing that have, the noses and the eyes, maybe kind of going from the perfectly round eyes, maybe to a little bit more oval to kind of represent a more standard look of an eye. You also notice that they're starting to get more attention to detail, more proper perspective, even though those perspectives might not necessarily still hold up. you'll still notice that there's horizons going, and they're starting to get smaller and smaller in the distance when they're drawing their trees and whatnot. And then finally, at age 12 and older, they typically reach the realism stage. Now, most people don't reach this stage without proper training, from what I've read. It's one of those things where you've got to practice, you've got to go over and over again. With anything in life, you've got to practice. So they, at this point, have control over most aspects of the art. They are able to say, okay, I want this to look this way, so it's gonna look that way. And I'm gonna make it look that way. Things start having a more natural looking appearance. Things start having more intentional, what we call stylization. So, like obviously a Picasso painting, as I use in my title, isn't necessarily the most, humanly accurate painting, but it is intentionally done in that manner. And then finally, the artists themselves are most self-conscious of their abilities. You'll notice that kids during this age will kind of tend to be a little bit more unstable about how their thing looks. They'll turn it in, but they might not necessarily like it if it's an art project for school. Or they might, be drawing something, but keep it from you, necessarily as a way of saying, I like it, but I don't want to share it. So those are the 5 stages. I'm going back through here really quick. The scribble stage, the pre-schematic stage, the schematic stage, transitional stage, and realism stage. Now, I obviously know some of you are starting to lose it. They're like, okay, this is all art. What does this have to do with Minecraft? Well, let me show you. First off, we're going to start with the Minecraft early development in the scribble stage. As a reminder, this is an example of the scribble stage. I remember those days, or do I? Yeah, I remember those days. I still have them. But yes, there are random scribbling, controlled scribbling, and naming of scribbling. I like to look at this as the spam block phase. I was exactly this way when I first started Minecraft, probably for the good first 15 minutes I played the game. Now obviously, 15 minutes is nothing compared to 2 years. So, I know you're kind of looking at me skeptically. You still have the random block placement or block removal. I will put that in there. And eventually it will develop into a more controlled block placement, but it's still somewhat random. You might not have the good control over your mouse at the beginning, but you do eventually name your creations. However bad they are, it's like, oh, that's my dog, something like that. You build pixel art in that form, that manner. Next is the pre-schematic stage, or the Minecraft second stage development. Reminder, first repetitive symbols are starting to be used, and you haven't developed a schema. There's a good example on the slide there. Got the stick figure right here, the first symbols being used. I like to think of that as the pre-design phase. Now, in the pictures here, I'm using houses as an example. So that first one back here, that's a good house, right? Who thinks that's a good house? Raise your hand. Yeah, you know how it is. I think it's a good house. But there's the first, real design right there. The first controlled design. The first repeated blocks are used, and they haven't developed their own style yet in their house. I still am at this stage when it comes to Minecraft, at least in survival mode. And in survival mode, I'm still at this stage, and I will be for probably the rest of my life. Next up is the schematic stage. Notice how the art is starting to get better. Notice how the art's starting to get better. You notice the lollipop tree over there, and then you notice how the stick figures are starting to kind of show facial features a little bit better, but they're still somewhat different views in the same picture. You've kind of got a flat tree and whatnot, kind of more developed characters though overall. I like to call this phase in Minecraft the design phase. The design phase. You're starting to kind of notice personal styles emerging. However, it is still somewhat flat. Notice how it's a flat front on there. You're starting to notice multiple sub-styles being used in the same build. So, for instance, you've got the stairs that are coming out, but everything else is flat. You might notice that the blocks there are still uniform, but you've got different styles of windows. You've got the wall of glass instead of just a window pane of glass and whatnot. Using that as a good example. And then most builds are still one-dimensional. One-dimensional not meaning, not 3D, but one-dimensional meaning it kind of has a lack of flair to it. Next up, we've got the transitional stage. You've got the first attempts to produce a quality work and the attention to detail, proper perspective starting to show. Notice in the distance there, you've got smaller trees kind of in this neck of the woods. And you've kind of got more adult quality work where the eyes are starting to kind of become more oval and stuff like that. I like to compare that to what I call the maturing phase. Now, compare this house to that first house at the beginning. How much better does this look? How many people think this is a better house? Oh, we got quite a few more hands there. That's good. But yes, there are attempts to create more proper depth in the build. You notice that there's kind of a few more rooms sticking out. You kind of got more of the balcony and different walls coming out, but they're using window panes, so you've got more attention to the minor details in there where they're kind of getting more into that, and you're starting to see more of a 3D realism being built. I could see this being a house in real life. How many of you can see this being a house in real life? How many of you have seen a house like this in real life? Okay. So this I call the maturing phase. And then finally you're at the realism stage. Compare this to the scribble stage at the beginning. Everyone's been attempting, all the scribbles I did Google searches of people during these different phases, and then I did Google searches of Minecraft houses. So this is the best. Compare that to the scribble at the beginning. Who thinks this is better? I'm glad I'm getting hands. So they have control over most aspects of the work. You obviously have the ears there, you have more detail in the ears, you've got the full body, you've got hands there, and it's more natural looking and it's intentionally done. And I like to compare this to the architect phase. And again, this phase, the fifth stage, the full development, is something that is a little bit more difficult to obtain. It takes a lot more time than the 15 minutes during the spam block phase. Because of this, you have control over the whole build. How many of you have seen a house like this in real life? Raise your hand if you have. How many of you think you can accomplish this exact build or something close to it in Minecraft right now if you were given 30 minutes during a build battle? We got 1 hand, 2 hands. Okay, not bad. So